Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, Everything Jax Real Estate. My name's Justin. I'm with the Real Keeper Home Team here in Jacksonville, Florida. In today's video, we're going to be doing our market update report for the February month here in the city of Jacksonville. In this market update report, we are going to be diving into the amount of new listings in the market, how many more pendings we're seeing in the market now versus in previous months, and also what are homes selling for currently, and how does that compare to what homes are selling for a month ago or even 6 months ago? So stay tuned, because when I come back, you're going to want to hear what I have to say. All right, everyone, welcome back. Before we get started in this video though, don't forget to like this video, shoot us a subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notified when we post more content like this in the future. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to look on this market report at the amount of homes that were pending in February, as well as the amount of homes that hit the market in February, and how many were the total amount of homes in February in the city of Jacksonville, and how does that all compare to each other? And so what we see is we saw that there was 391 homes that were pending in February. This left us with 1,122 homes still available as we started to go into March. Overall, that means that in February we had 1,513 homes available for sale. Now granted, like I said, 391 went under contract, but available to sell in February. This gave us a pendulous ratio, which is just comparing the amount of homes that went under contract to the amount of homes that were actually available in February. And what we saw was the pendulous ratio was 25.8%. This is pretty much about the same percentage we saw in January. And what it tells us is that we are seeing more homes hit the market, but we're also seeing more homes go under contract. And so they're offsetting each other and kind of washing us as we go from January to February with our pendulous ratio. We also saw that the majority of homes, this is the largest group of homes when we started talking about price points that hit the market in February, were homes in the $300,000 to $400,000 price point. We also saw that the most homes that went under contract in the month of February were also homes at $300,000 to $400,000 price point. And also the total number of homes, when we look at the largest price point of homes in the city of Jacksonville, $300,000 to $400,000 makes it the majority or the highest amount of homes in the area. Now, the last thing we are going to look at is what was the median price of homes that were on the market in February. And what we see is the median price or asking price from sellers was $485,000. So you may ask yourself, well, Justin, why is it that the majority of homes that make up the largest group of homes is homes between $300,000 and $400,000? Why is it that the median list price was higher than that? And the reason the median list price was higher than that is you have to think about how many homes are going to be over $400,000 and how many homes are going to be under $300,000. And ultimately for the city of Jacksonville, at this point in time, you're going to find that there are more homes over $400,000 than there are under $300,000, which is going to push that median list price above the $300,000 to $400,000 range, since there's more homes above it versus below it. On the flip side, if you had more below $300,000, then you would actually see that the median list price will probably be below $300,000, or worst case in that $300,000 to $400,000 grouping. Next thing we're going to look at is we're going to see that in this graph, ultimately there are quite a few homes available for sale in the price range of $200,000 to really $600,000, comparatively to the amount of homes that are under contract. And what this tells us is that homes in those price ranges, there's a little bit more inventory to choose from. And so for you as a buyer, if you're looking in those price ranges, now granted, City of Jacksonville is a big area, this is going to change as we start looking at different areas within Jacksonville. But overall, if you're someone looking to buy here in Jacksonville, if your price point is between $200,000 and $600,000, you're going to have some options. And you're not going to have as much competition as you would if you were above $600,000, specifically, 6 to 8 to 9 to million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million, whatever the case may be. And so ultimately, being able to have more options and less competition is nice, because then you don't have to rush to make decisions sometimes. And you can kind of pick the one that you really like and be able to actually negotiate a little bit on it with the seller, since obviously, the seller also has more competition. So definitely something to kind of, think about as we move into future months is how do these two data points, properties for sale and contracts pending, how do they change as we go into a busier time of the year? Do we start to see these two data points start to kind of come back closer together, especially in these $200,000 to $600,000 price range? Or do they start to stay further apart or stay where they're at currently, to where you as a buyer have, like I said, less competition, you as a seller have more competition? So that'll be something that we'll definitely want to monitor as we go into the future months of this year, because currently here in Jacksonville, we are seeing a lot of pent-up demand hit the market. And so ultimately, these data points could change tremendously in the next couple months. Now, we did also see too that there was a total of 2,156 contracts that closed the past 6 months, and the median sold price of those was $422,000 some change. Ultimately, this is really similar to January's information, and ultimately, as we go into the future months of this year, we'll see this number probably start to creep up further, because of the fact that we're going to start getting more busier months of data, January, February, March, April, when the time does come, where we will see more contracts, and most likely with more contracts will come probably slightly higher pricing. But ultimately, great sign that the market's staying pretty steady, because fourth quarter last year, the market did slow down some. So the fact that we were able to stay pretty steady through that is huge for you as a seller, because it means that you did not see too much price appreciation. But even for you as a buyer, it just means that the market is healthy, and that if you are looking to buy currently in the market, that you're getting into a position where you can get into your next home and still be in a position where you can accrue equity fairly quickly, and not have to necessarily worry about the possibility of seeing price depreciation once you do buy your house. So it's good for all parties. Now, we did see too that there was 612 homes that failed to sell in the same period. The homes will fail to sell at the time. It's not uncommon to see that be the case. And it can be for many different factors, as I tend to always highlight in these videos, whether if it's the seller, the agent, if it's the price of the home, if it's the condition of the home. There's many different factors that can cause a home to not sell and to come off the market. And so ultimately, that's pretty similar to what we saw in January, and so it's not really a concern for me, and it shouldn't really be a concern for you as far as seeing 612 homes fail to sell in the area. Next up, we are going to check out the days on market. And what we're going to see here is that the days on market for the active homes, the homes that can get a contract on them at this time, was roughly 36 days. This is down from previous months, and this is a continuing thing that we will see as we move into the next couple months of the year, because ultimately, now that the market's picking back up, some homes are selling quicker, they're not sitting as long, sellers are pricing them better because of what happened in the previous couple months. And therefore, the days on market is starting to come down at a good pace, to where as a seller, you don't have to worry about how long your house will be in the market for. As a buyer, you know that you'll have plenty of other options, because obviously more homes are hitting the market unless they're sitting for too long. Now, we did talk about how the last 6 months that the median price was $422,000. Well, the median days on market was 32 days on the market. Now, this is going to take into account some data that is going to go away in future months, and may actually push this number up as far as days on market when we lose August, September's data in future videos. But ultimately, to have 32 days on the market for homes that have sold in the last 6 months, 36 days on the market for homes that are actively trying to sell, those are good, healthy signs, because really at 30 days on the market, that's really a good data point that you want to kind of work with. You really don't want to go too far past that if you're a seller in the market. Now, we also did see too that for the last 30 days, the median price went up about $10,000, but also the median days on market went up to 35 days. So now the days on market for homes that are selling more recently is about the same as homes that are still on the market. A lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of homes that sold in February were homes that ultimately were on the market longer than they probably should have been for varying reasons, interest rates, price expectations for a seller, lack of demand on the buyer side. And so ultimately in future months, it would not surprise me to see that 35 days come down further, but it is nice to see that whether it's the active homes, the homes that are selling more recently, or the homes that have sold in the last 6 months, they're all following the same trends currently here in Jacksonville. Just so that we have a very healthy market, because we're not seeing any of those really creep up any further at this time. We also have the median list to sales ratio in the area was 98.2%. At 98.2%, it means the seller is getting fairly close to what they're asking for. It also is, though, less than what we saw last month, and a lot of the reason for that is for these homes that did sell in February, they were homes that had been out there for a bit longer, and so sellers were a bit more willing to negotiate. And so ultimately, though, in future months, we may not see that as much, but to bring that up, it is important that if you're looking to maybe buy a home sooner rather than later, that this is still a great window, because when we start to get to those summer months, it will get busier here. There will be more options, but you'll have more competition. What does more competition mean? It means that you're not going to be able to give a seller 98.2% of their asking price. It may be 99%, maybe 100%. You know, God forbid, if it goes a couple years ago like how it did, it could be over that. Now, obviously, there's no crystal ball. You never know what's going to happen. But the reason I highlight that is because ultimately, if you are looking to buy a home and you're watching this video, it's important to know what could happen, so that way you have both the positives and the negatives to work with when making your decision on your time frame. Also, the absorption rate for the area for the past 6 months was 3.3 months of inventory. This was an increase from January's video, and ultimately, at 3.3 months of inventory, it is more inventory than we've had recently. However, we're not surprising we start to see that come down some now that we're starting to get more to that spring and summer buying window. And it's also not to mean that it's now a buyer's market, because it's not. It's just now more of a buyer's, or less of a seller's market than it used to be, in that ultimately as a buyer, you do have some ability currently to negotiate a little bit, whereas you may not have had that a couple of years ago, even 6 months ago. So that's great to see as well, but it could change very quickly as we go into the next couple of months. So lastly, we are going to check out our table down below. And this table is just going to highlight the absorption rate at different price points. It's going to highlight the amount of homes that are available at different price points, the amount of homes that are under contract, the amount of homes that sold, even the amount of homes that failed to sell. And ultimately, the reason I like to kind of show this, to go over this in these videos, is it's to highlight, what kind of competition do you have at different price points? How many homes do you have if you're a buyer looking? How much competition should you expect from other buyers? If you're a seller looking to put your house on the market, how much competition should you have if you're looking to sell? And what you can see is anywhere you see these red, which are going to be more of your lower price points in these ranges, anywhere from 100,000 to 400,000. If you're a seller, you're not going to have a ton of competition. If you're a buyer, you will, because they're very desirable price points for the area, and therefore there's just not enough homes to support the amount of buyers looking in those price points. On the flip side, if you are a seller looking to sell your house for say 600 or 700,000, you may have a little more competition. There's more options for a buyer to choose from. There's less buyers to choose from, and therefore you may have to be a little more aggressive in your pricing or in your negotiating to get your home under contract and sold. And if you're a buyer looking at those price points, it means that you have the ability to negotiate a little bit more than you would if you were buying for say 300,000 range. So all that's good to know, because ultimately if you are deciding to put your home on the market here in Jacksonville, or if you're deciding to move to the area or find your next house in Jacksonville, it's important to know what kind of competition you'll have and what to expect when you are negotiating on the home that you do find. So hopefully you liked that video. If you did, like I said, shoot us a like, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified when we post more content like this in the future. And also, if you have any questions as far as anything I went over in this video, or if you have any questions as it pertains to Jacksonville, the surrounding areas, any different neighborhoods, in the description of this video down below is a link to my calendar. Feel free to set up a time in my calendar for us to meet face-to-face, through Zoom, even a phone call, to go over any questions you may have about the market here, or about any questions for you and your family as it pertains to what neighborhoods may make the most sense for you and your family. So until next time, I'll see you guys again on the next market update video.